Harp on Sports with Seth Harp.
You know what time it is.
3, 2, 1. Let's do this.
Go, bartender! Your food needs refill!
Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? College football playoff plans. Everything is set. We know who's going where, when, all of that jazz. And you know what? Criticism abound. This just goes to show you that no good deed goes unpunished. Anger and vitriol. The SEC gets hosed. Last year, the ACC gets hosed. Hey, the Big Ten. Indiana doesn't belong. The thing that makes this great is there's always a debate. Always a debate with this thing. It's never clean. It's never clear. And fellas, as much as we complain about how women love drama, this goes back to the point that I've always said, we love it just as much, if not more. They love it in their personal lives, the ladies do. We love it in our sports lives. So we're going to dive into that. Also, we know the Heisman Final Four are. And the way I looked at this is you're going to have the big two, the terrific two, Hunter and Genty. And then it was going to be one of the other quarterbacks. Ward was third, but the way Gabriel played against Penn State shoves him into the Final Four. Okay with this. So now what? So we're going to look at those Final Four and why after two, there's going to be a significant fall off, but what we should expect coming up in New York this Saturday. And also the Bucs back from the brink, 4-6. Oh my gosh, they had back-to-back road games. It looked dire. They roll off 3 in a row in first place in their division. But it looks like it's division or bust for the Bucs. So we'll look at that. All right, Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports, the auditory route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports YouTube page, under the bar, Harp on Sports. Of course, we said the Facebook page and the website at harponsports.com. All right, college football playoff plans. There was not going to be a clean way to do this. If Alabama got it and SMU didn't, then SMU gets punished for going to their conference championship game and losing. That was one of the big things we talked about a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago when they were kicking around this 12-team idea that teams that made their conference championship game and lost were going to be punished. Not the case. Not the case. Texas loses. They fall a couple spots out of their guaranteed bid, but not overly punished. Penn State loses. Competitive. Sitting there on the outside looking in, but not punished. SMU loses. They fall, of course, outside of their lock at 3, it looks like. Not punished. Or appropriately sanctioned, if you will. No, I thought they did a nice job with it. And look, it's twofold, right? If you would have kept SMU out, then there's no need to go to your conference championship game. You could see teams like, I'm not going to this thing. Why would I want to go to this thing? Think about the last week of the year when Michigan got upset by Ohio State. Or Michigan upset Ohio State. That put Penn State in the Big Ten title game. If Penn State would have lost, Indiana would have gone to the Big Ten title game and played Oregon. If they got waxed, Indiana probably would have been on the outside looking in. Indiana benefited by not going. So you look at this and 6-1 of half a dozen of another. I thought with what the parameters were, and then when you start to play the game, well, if so-and-so played so-and-so, they'd beat them head to head. Oh, okay. Well, true, at least in Vegas in theory. But 2 weeks ago, Clemson was on the outside looking in, and now they're the ACC champs because you actually have to physically play the games. And under that logic, Florida's the biggest bowl favorite. They're 12-point favorites. Of all the bowl games, Florida's the biggest bowl favorite. Over Tulane, followed by Mississippi State, Duke. Or not Mississippi State, Duke. Oh, missing Duke in the Gator Bowl. So that's 11.5. So I look at this and, okay, well, they'd be favored over this team. You bet. Indiana couldn't survive the SEC. No, they couldn't. But under that logic, then we need to start putting in, conference basketball teams that go 4-13, 4-14 in the ACC because they'd be better than at-large team from here. There's no perfect way to do it, and I'm not going to clutch my pearls over a 3-loss Alabama that lost to a 1-6 Oklahoma team in their conference a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to do it. Oh, that's not right. Look at the wins. Look at the losses. Fellas, I've said this time and time again. We look at like the way ladies watch or talk about their friends and family. Oh, I can't believe so-and-so did this. I can't believe so-and-so. Women love to talk. We know that, right, fellas? They love to talk. That's good. We're different, and that's fine. Love to talk. Love to talk. Love to talk. They love to talk about feelings, and this is what's going on with this person, and this is what's going on with this person. Fellas, we do the same things. We just do it about people we don't know. Women do it about people they do know. We talking about people that we don't know. Football's just, and things like this are soap operas. Oh, this guy's going here, and this guy should go here, and this is not fair, and it's politics. Sports and politics are the same thing. They are. Essentially the same thing. And Notre Dame hosting Indiana, okay. Tennessee going to Ohio State. What's the difference there? Well, the difference, I guess, if you want to make it this way, is, Ohio State has better wins. Ohio State beat Penn State. What's Tennessee's biggest win? Alabama. They didn't even make the playoffs. Lost to Georgia. You know what I mean? You have to look at it around, and they got a terrible loss. So okay, well, sure, I guess. See, that's why you could have this debate for hours and hours and hours. This isn't fair. Oregon gets punished by having to take on the Ohio State-Tennessee winner. Okay, well, who do you want to put in there? 8-9 matchup between Boise State and Arizona State. Okay, now you've devalued conference champions. See, no matter what you do, you're going to cause another problem. It's the whole thing on the Hoover Dam where if there's a water leak and you plug one hole, another one pops up, type of thing. Well, that's what you do here. Let's say you did this, and we're gonna get rid of conference championships as favorites, because that's what people want to do, right? Or guaranteed conference championships shouldn't be any guarantees. Okay, if you strip that, then what would you have had? 1 Oregon, 2 who? Would you still put Georgia at 2? Who would have been third? Notre Dame. Texas at third? You have Texas at third? So you'd had a rematch? See the inherent problem that we have here? If you strip conference champions immediately out of the equation. Immediately out of the equation, we're going to strip conference champions. Okay. No guaranteed 1 through 4. Then under that logic, 1 is Oregon, 2 is Georgia, 3 is Texas, right? Because you remove Boise State and would have removed Arizona State from the equation at that point. They wouldn't have been 3-4. So you'd had a rematch there. 4 would have been who? Penn State. So your 4 would have been a rematch. No, they would have had buys. Oh, great. So the semifinal is going to be a Big Ten rematch, and the other semifinal is going to be an SEC rematch. All right. See, you've got to stagger this a little bit. There's got to be a little bit of nuance. Let's move this team here and this team here. Doing the NCAA tournament. It's not a coincidence where former coach of school A meets former coach of school B, who used to coach together in the Sweet 16. Of course, it's by design, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like the way it's set up. Now, as a guy from Indiana that grew up loving Notre Dame, do I want to see them play Indiana? No, I wanted to see an SEC school up in South Bend in 20-degree weather. That's what I wanted to see. Didn't get it. Okay. Notre Dame didn't play. Got pushed down. Indiana didn't play, got pushed down. Ohio State, Tennessee didn't play, got pushed down. Top 6 seeds, all played championship weekend. What they did right is, they did this wrong, they did this wrong. Yeah, it's like parenting, right? Not going to get everything right, but you get most of it right. It's the name of the game. So, I like what we got out of it. Anybody's complaining about it, yeah, you got to complain about something, I guess. But the college football playoff's not going to be one of those things today. Just not. Not. Never going to be perfect. Think about this. We're clutching our pearls today. Oh my gosh. Over a 3-loss Alabama team that lost to 1-6 in the SEC Oklahoma. As opposed to last year, taking a team that was 13-0 and dumping them. I'll take the clutching of the pearls over 9-3 Alabama every day. So good. What do I think's going to happen in this sucker? We'll do another one as we move forward. The biggest for the committee, or the biggest yes for college football, I looked at this, would be Boise State Notre Dame. Because the little guy finally got in, he gets crowned, or he gets his chance, succeeds. And there's Notre Dame, who there are question marks of whether they should be and what their strength of schedule is. That Notre Dame Boise State would be the title game that would be the strongest for the committee to justify everything that they've done. It would be. Hey, man, look. I told you we top 4 ranked conference champions. I guess we were right where Boise State was. Guess we were right. Oh, Notre Dame. Okay, come on. Guess we were right. Now, if it goes straight chalk, then you can kind of look around and go, the goal is to get 1 and 2 together. Which one would make you go, oh boy? The one that could get a little wonky is if the Tennessee-Ohio State winner beats Oregon, especially if it's Ohio State that gets another crack at them. And then Notre Dame, Georgia. If Notre Dame beats them, I don't think it's the end of the world. If Georgia beats them, it's not the end of the world down there. The other one that could get a little tricky. And no, I guess it even wouldn't be then if 3rd seed Arizona State loses to 6th seed Penn State. I guess the other one is if Penn State, two things make you go, ugh, would be Ohio State, Tennessee winner dumping Oregon. Because let's face it, those 2 top 5 quality level teams there at some point. If Tennessee did it, wouldn't be as bad. But the other one that would make you go, oh God, is if Penn State just beats the brakes off of SMU. That'd be your other one. Actually, an SMU upset. The Indiana Notre Dame game, whoever wins is going to say, see, we're good. If Indiana wins, it's going to make Notre Dame look awful. If Notre Dame wins, Indiana didn't belong. Oh, okay. You can, no matter what happens there, you're going to be able to point and say, hey, they didn't belong. Although that's ridiculous. You earn it up into that point, and then whatever happens after that point. Like if a 1 seed gets beat in the first round of the NCAA tournament, like we had a couple years ago with Virginia, even Purdue, they what, didn't belong? Come on. So there we go. For that to this, Heisman, Final Four, perfect. If you're complaining, again, I go back and look at things. There are plenty of things to get outraged by. Juan Soto signing for $765 million. Feel free to get outraged about that. That's fine. That's where the players' union is killing competitive balance in their sport. Talk about owners paying this much. Scott Boras, all this power. The NFL, and I'm going to go on a little rant here. The NFL figured this out a long time ago when they're giving $60, $70 million deals to rookies that just are getting drafted. They go, we got to restructure this. The sport that gets this more than any other thing that does this correctly is the NBA, where you have a tiered system based on your veteran leadership that allows to keep star players at home. Baseball, and the goal of baseball is to keep 7 markets strong. New York's, plural. Boston, yeah. Dodgers, yeah. Other than those 4 or 5, I'd like St. Louis to be competitive, but at the end of the day, San Diego's paying money, so when anybody sits there and talks about how it's not fair to small market, people just point to San Diego and look, they're doing it. And baseball does have arbitration. You can give big deals early. But anyway, that's an issue that you could really, really vent about. But the Heisman, no. Hunter, Genty, Gabriel, Ward. Or Ward, Gabriel. I call it the Heisman trio because it's Travis Hunter, Genty, and then pick a quarterback. I think the way that Dylan Gabriel played in the Big Ten championship probably pushes him above Cam Ward. If you're voting 1, 2, 3, either of those if you put Ward above Gabriel, it's not going to be the end of the world. I had not really sit down and watched Oregon for 60 minutes. They've got the fastest receivers. They got the most dynamic playmakers, and they've got the most consistent quarterback. I give up some points, but to me, they're the most complete team in the game. And the second most complete team, I don't even know who that would be. Georgia wins, but boy, Georgia looks bad at times. I guess if you're Penn State, you go, man, our losses to Ohio State and Oregon. Good God. I guess the team that you're sitting there looking at that maybe right behind Oregon's like, it's Boise State. They're going, hey, man, look, we got 1 losses to them by a field goal. That's what makes it sports so fun. But if you're voting, look, I get it. What Ashton Genty did on Friday night against UNLV was impressive. It's like, yeah. Now, was it enough to dethrone Travis Hunter and what he did? Travis Hunter is Deion Sanders, I'm trying to even give another comparison. Charles Woodson combined rolled into one, but more split evenly. I mean, he's the most outstanding player in college football. Come on, how's this even a discussion? And then Ashton Jennings, just a machine. But you have two people from non-traditional Power 4. You have one that's not even from a Power 4 program. Last one to do that was what? Andre Ware. To win the Heisman from that. Then you got Colorado and Travis Hunter, 9-3, not even in a conference championship game. So, hey, look, those are going to be 1-2. How would you vote? I'd go Hunter, Genty, and probably Gabriel. But if you go Genty, Hunter, look, that's going to be one of those. I'm like, Hunter should win it. But if Genty wins it, it's going to be one of those things I'm like, boy, God, a monster year, man. It's like when Manning and Woodson beat him in 97. I know SEC fans are still, oh my God, how could this happen? Like, either of those guys would have been fine. Here it's like, oh, I'm okay with either of them. Either of them. But if it's the most outstanding player, then it's Hunter. He plays on both sides of the ball. It's like Shohei Ohtani in his sport. So Hunter, Genty, Gabriel, that's how I 1, 2, 3. And I think you're going to see 60% go to Hunter. I think you're going to see 35%, 35% go to Genty. And then the other 5%, I'm talking about first place votes, divvied up between, I think you're going to see significant fall off between 2 and 3. Oh, hey, good race. It was fun watching it wasn't the SEC. Nobody in the Heisman race. Not a single soul. The Big Ten, Gabriel kind of sneaks in there. Ward kind of sneaks in there at the end. Or not sneaks in there, but Ward was there around. Gabriel kind of, hey, look at me. But, I mean, it's amazing when you think about it. Notre Dame finishes in the top 7. No Heisman candidate. Ohio State in the top 10. Penn State in the top 10. No Heisman candidate. Georgia. Texas. Both of the top 5. No Heisman candidate. It's crazy when you think about it. Really, really is. Really, really is. I wanted to wrap with this. Bucs back from the brink. Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting there at 4-6 a couple weeks ago after losing to the Niners. Lose a heartbreaker to the Chiefs, in which they had a chance to win. Or at least they lose the coin toss, but it could have gone for 2, but it had a chance. Heartbreaking loss to the Niners at 4-6. Evans was out. It's like, he's coming back. Just chill out here a second. Because then you've got back-to-back games against, the Cowboys and the Giants. And then it starts to open up. Those were road games with the Giants and the Panthers. Then it starts to open up because then you get to come home for a game against the lowly Raiders. And then you can, lo and behold, what do? They 4-6. They get Mike Evans back, win back-to-back road games, 6-6, take care of business against the Raiders, 7-6. And now you're looking at a schedule that's got what? Back-to-back road games again. So 4 out of 5 games for the Bucs are going to be on the road. At the Chargers, at the Cowboys. Look, winning out in LA is going to be tough. But if they can beat the Cowboys and are sitting there at 8-7 at the end of the year, if their final 2 games are home against the Panthers, home against the Saints, the Saints have all of a sudden won 3 in a row. All of a sudden, they're 3 of their last 4. All of a sudden, the Saints are starting to pick up a little momentum here. But you get them at home. And at that point, you're playing for the world at the end of the year. I do think it's division or bust for the Bucs, just because I sit there and I look at this and they're 7-6. DC Commanders are 8-5, so you're just 1 game behind them. But they'd have to lose. You'd have to start looking at this because you hold the tiebreaker over them. So down the stretch, if they'd go 2-2 and you'd go 3-1, then at that point you'd hold the tiebreaker over them. But if you're the Bucs and you go 3-1, you're going to finish 10-7 and you're going to win that division. So then you're kind of splitting hairs, right? If DC would go 1-3 and the Bucs would go 2-2, then there's where you go, okay, but is DC going to go 1-3 down the stretch? You're asking a lot at that point. And Mike Evans comes back. The thing that's interesting about this is Mike Evans, he's had 1,000 yards in every year. And he's on pace for 870. He missed 5 games with that injury. Can the dude still get to 1,000 yards? Can he still get to 1,000 yards and keep that? If he can get to 1,000 yards this year after missing 5 games, that's remarkable. Those things always come to an end. Travis Kelce's last year was 9 straight years of 1,000 yards as a tight end came to an end. Those things come to an end just because you're resting guys down the stretch. But with this, when you lose 5 games to injuries, for the Bucs, obviously making the playoffs, Mike Evans streak, Baker Mayfield is not turning the ball over anymore. The Bucs are playing well. And you can lose your number 2 receiver. You can have the injuries that they have. You lose their number 2 receiver for the year, their number 1 receiver for 5 weeks, and they're still winning. They're now rolling. Now the Falcons gave it back, right? The Bucs win 3 in a row. The Falcons lose 3 in a row. Boy, it's funny because in mid-November you looked around and said to yourself, man, the Bucs are 2 games behind the Falcons. They're 4-6. Good gracious. The Falcons sit there at 6-4, and the Falcons swept them. This thing's over. Fast forward 3 weeks. Bucs are all alone in first place, control their own destiny. Hard to believe. If they beat the Chargers this weekend, that's one of them. The way it's going to be tough to go out there and win. But if the Bucs can somehow beat the Chargers, sitting there at 8-6, they're in great shape then. Then they're in great shape. It's going to be tough though. So what do I say? I mean, 3-1 gets you in. 2-2 makes you sweat. Because the Packers, the problem that you have in the NFC is you have the Commanders at 8-5. Then you see the Packers up there at 9-4. The Packers aren't going 1-3 in their final 4 games. What did I see? The Packers, the Vikings, and the Lions have not lost to somebody other than themselves since October. Since mid-October. When they lose, they only lose to each other. That's remarkable that you have the Lions sitting there at 12-1. The Vikings sit there at 10-2, 11-2? Or 10-3, and all of a sudden, then you have the Packers sitting there at 9-4. They lose to each other. So you're the only chance you got it's the Commanders and the Bucs. I think the Falcons are probably out of this one now. And the Falcons aren't going to win any tiebreakers here. The Bucs hold the tiebreaker over the Commanders. That's why this is interesting. But it's probably division or bust. More than likely for the Bucs. But if the Commanders give one back this weekend, then look, if the Commanders lose this weekend and the Bucs lose, then you can say, okay, there's still 1 game back, 3 to go. Okay. But the minute if the Commanders would win this weekend and the Bucs would lose, then it's a 2-game lead with 3 to go, and now you're really starting to have mathematical unrealistic scenarios. So just the Bucs bouncing back on the brink, back from it. What a phenomenal job by Baker Mayfield. And I mean, good God. I know Todd Bowles gets a lot of criticism, but does he get credit? Could win this division. What would it be, 4 years in a row? It's remarkable. It really is. You know, Chiefs have won a decade in a row. Second longest division streak in the NFL could hit 5 years, could be the Bucs. 4 years, right? 21, 22, 23, 24. Because in 2020, Saints won that division, even though the Bucs won the Super Bowl. Crazy things. But again, down the stretch we come. I mean, the Dolphins are done. Jaguars went from having the number 1 overall pick to 6? 1 win. I know. Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram. Harp on Sports, the auditory route, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Harp on Sports YouTube page under the bar. Harp on Sports, the Facebook page, and of course, harponsports.com. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.